Okay, so this video is going to be kind of quick and freeform. I wanted to get it out to you guys as quick as possible. The dev server for the new groundbreaking update is live, and I was just taking a look at it, checking out some of the new weapons and stuff. First thing up is the Walleye, which is a TV-guided bomb that's going to be added to the new version of the A7. It's going to be the A7E. It seems to be a pretty interesting weapon. You can use the TV guided interface the same as for the other TV guided weapons, where you can switch in to that like black and white television view and pick a target and launch. Um, it's a little difficult and cumbersome, just like it is, in the existing interface. However, you can also guide these by using your keybind for activate target point in the third person view. And it seems that if you use your activate target point keybind, it'll allow you to lock the bombs onto something and drop them from the third person view without ever needing to zoom in. These bombs do track moving targets, or at least they seem to. In the test battle, I dumped one on that aircraft carrier, and it tracked it as it moved. I haven't flown these out into, like a close air support mission or anything like that yet. It's going to be kind of interesting to see how that works. So that is the deal with the Walleye glide bomb. Okay, next up, the F4EJ Kai now has JDAMs, because that's a plane that needed a buff, I guess. These are guided bombs. You designate a target for these entirely from your third person view, using your the same keybind as for the Walleyes, the activate target point, and then you drop the bomb normally, and it'll guide itself onto that target. You can see in the tests here, I have a target designated, and I deliberately dropped the bomb off target laterally to force the bomb to steer itself left to right into the target. And it seems to do a pretty decent job of correcting its glide path straight down into the target, even though it was, dropped off to the side. So that confirms that, the guidance mechanic is working the way that I expected it would. I do not believe these track moving targets. I tested one on the moving ship, and it did not track the moving ship. It fell down behind it. However, when dropping them on these stationary vehicles on the ground in the test flight, they seem to be incredibly accurate. I'm not entirely sure, these are similar in application to the guided bombs that the MiG-27 gets. I'm not really too sure how useful these are going to be, in close air support or anything like that, but I don't know. I guess it's a way to accurately bomb pillboxes or something in Air RB. We'll see what happens. But if these work out and are accepted by the players, it is extremely likely that JDAMs are going to be all over the place with Western-aligned aircraft in future patches. So these are something to keep an eye on, and if you have access to the F4EJ Kai, practice with these and get good with them, because they are probably going to be everywhere. With that, I'm just going to let you watch the JDAM fail to guide onto this moving target, and then I'm going to call the next topic. Next up, the French Jaguar, but not the British one, now has access to laser-guided bombs. It gets a laser designator pod and a couple of laser-guided bombs. It's got some little ones and some big ones. This footage is with the big ones. So these work a little bit differently than the other laser-guided weapons in the game. So you designate a target, and you can do this either by switching your view into the laser designator view, or you can do it from the external view with your the keybind for activate target point, and then you drop the bomb and it'll guide itself down onto that target. Now, this is a semi-active weapon, meaning that your plane has to keep the target within the line of sight of the laser sensor in order for the bomb to continue guiding. And as you can see me flying past, you can see the laser can point a little bit behind the plane before it drops off. And if you look at the laser guidance pod, you can see the sensor window kind of extends a little bit backwards. The sensor is on a little gimbal in the front, and it can kind of aim a little bit behind the plane. So that seems to be a fairly capable laser guidance pod. Similar to the other guided bombs, this can't track a moving target or anything. You pick a spot on the ground and drop the bomb, and you're essentially guaranteed a hit, as long as you weren't too short or anything when you dropped it. These are going to be extremely useful, I think, for hitting like stationary targets in air battles, but in close air support, flying for ground battles, not really too sure how useful those are going to be. I guess we're going to have to see how things play out. Next up, the French Jaguar also gets a laser-guided version of the Nord air-to-surface missile, as you're seeing here. It's kind of an upgraded version of the AS-20, and it uses the same interface as the bombs. You can zoom in to the laser designator view, or you can pick a target from your external view and just let your targeting pod do the work. And as long as the target stays within line of sight of the little targeting pod on your center pylon, you're essentially guaranteed a hit. I think these honestly might be more useful in close air support than the bombs, simply because they've got that, they're designed for armor penetration. But I don't know, we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting to see how these play out and actually get used in the game. Next up, we get the dedicated air-to-ground attack version of the Saab Viggen, and you get some TV-guided air-to-ground missiles, which are basically Mavericks. So far, at least on the dev server, you have to pick targets for these using the television view, like you're seeing there on the screen. And other than that, they basically seem to be Mavericks. It was hard to tell how accurate these are going to be. It did not seem to track the moving targets when I was trying them out. But in fairness, that may have been player error. I may have failed to properly designate the target, but the missile fired. So not really too sure what the deal is there. These weapons seem to be Mavericks, but not quite as good if they can't actually track a moving target. In terms of hitting the stationary target, extremely accurate. So, yeah, so Sweden is going to get some decent air-to-ground missiles. So, worth mentioning, I also took a look at the Russian laser-guided air-to-ground weapons, to see if there were any interface changes or anything like that. And as far as I could tell, so far on the dev server, they are not. The Russian laser-guided weapons on the Su-17 still work like beam riding weapons, where instead of designating a target and having the missile fly towards the target, your laser is like static. It just points forward, and you guide the missile by steering your plane. And the weapons on the MiG-27 seem to work identically to how they have in the past. Where you pick your spot on the ground and the weapon will seek to that point. So, no changes there, at least not yet. I apologize for this video being kind of quick and freeform and rambly. I just wanted to get something out quickly to you guys so you know what to expect in terms of these air-to-ground weapons in the next patch. And I think it's obvious I'm going to have to redo my video on missiles. So, until then, I will see you guys next time, and as always, thanks for watching.